corporate tolerable risk guidelines. In other words, what is tolerable to your company? So set up something based on international guidelines. You need to start at the top. You need to reconsider the PHA and LOPA. According to the OSHA Act in the States, every 5 years you have to revisit. In a lot of countries around the world, every 5 years you have to revisit it, revalidate it. If you haven't been doing that, then perhaps you need to set up, redo your hazards, start again. If you haven't been done properly, then safety could be compromised. Now, the reason we say do this first is because you may have existing safety systems in place. And as I said earlier, you may have 300 SIPs. By doing this, by doing it properly, you could eliminate some of those SIPs. Maybe you've got a smaller system to manage now. The cost savings we made immediately. Okay? You need to consider all hazards, not only those on personnel. You need to look at environment as well as business. Okay? And remember, you've been operating for a while, so you've got. You should be keeping record of near misses and of incidents. So you can build those into your PHA, into your LOPA. You know how your plant is operating. You know the issues already. You need to formalize it in terms of your PHA. The LOPA needs to consider the higher consequences. Those consequences, perhaps where you've got a single fatality or a major injury. Okay, so you can start screening. Only do LOPA for those. You can be made compliant by replacing non-certified devices with certified devices. Okay, that's expensive. You first do the LOPA. First find out what safety functions do you need. Then you start to look at replacement. Now, there is a concept called useful life. The end of the bathtub curve, you should be replacing devices. All these devices wear out. You cannot operate beyond the end of useful life. It's like operating your car without changing the engine oil. It's going to break. Okay? The same thing with your transmitters. They have a useful life. Gas detectors need to be replaced every 2 years. So you should have a program in place. Budget and schedule to replace them. Okay? Solenoids, every 5 years. Most of them need to be replaced, not cleaned, replaced. Okay? You need to have prior use justification. In other words, the equipment you're using, is it suitable for use in your facility? In other words, there's a big issue going on now offshore in UAE, and it's got to do with the response time of gas detectors. Now they're using the metal oxide bomb for H2S. Now what happens is over time the response time appears to get longer, and they believe it's got to do with the dust that's always in the air, and it starts clogging the filter, the sinter filter. So it's turning out that those gas detectors, the NOS, are not suitable for that environment. So they're starting to replace it with chemical detectors. This is what you need to do. You need to be tracking this. Is this suitable for my environment? Yes.
Sorry, even these gas detectors are probably containing there's a maintenance program.
Yeah.
So
yes.
You have to replace it.
Yes.
Every 2 years?
Yes. Yes. You ask the manufacturer, you look at their manual, there, 2 years. It's not the entire thing, it's just the sensor portion.
Yeah, the sensor.
The front end. But sometimes to replace it, you've got to take it out of service and do it in the workshop. It's a special procedure. Some of them you can put it inside, but it needs to be replaced.
But also we need to put the sensor.
Some manufacturers, yes, some manufacturers you need to replace quite a lot more. Okay. But you need to have a program in place, that's the key. Okay. Now, you've got to know about it, first of all, to know what to replace. You need to be able to set up a program. So you need to go through all your devices, find out what's the useful life, what do I need to replace.
You know, what is being done, the same verification. Whatever the program we use, or the spreadsheet, whatever,
useful life is defined by the components used. It doesn't affect the failure rate. Okay? So it's defined by the manufacturer. You can ask him, what is the useful life of the sensor? And he'll tell you. A lot of them are very happy to tell you, because every 2 years you're buying sensors. So, but you need to be checking. The key is you need to be tracking. What is running out? What do you need to replace? That's the key. You need to have a plan in place. Now, I can see all of you scratching here and saying, well, we've got devices that probably outside useful life. How are we going to pay for this? Okay. That's not the issue. The money must come. If you want to operate safely, you've got to replace. Okay. The run-to-fail policies in place when safety is compromised. Okay, you need to be tracking the useful life. That failure could result in an incident happening, and many people being killed. It could be you, right, or one of your employees, or colleagues, or perhaps someone in the public. Okay? The mechanical integrity program. Now you'll find that mechanical guys are doing this already. They have a useful life and they replace bearings after a certain period of time. Why can't the instrumentation guys do that? You need to ensure mechanical integrity is followed. You need to be tracking and following this. Okay? You can reverse engineer back and create an SRS from what you've got. Okay? But you need to have good history, you need to have a good mechanical integrity program in place.